So, hello everyone. Evolution 2026 Summit is well underway. We are, I think you're the 12th guest because we had one day double trouble. Today we have a girly episode because our resident tornado Brandon is away on family excursion. But maybe I don't mind it so much because I have the feeling that it's going to be a very different conversation that is just us girls. So I give you Amy Collar. You are in our community for a while, and I have been in your community as well, but we haven't had the pleasure of talking to each other. So usually we just like to kick off these talks just by asking you who you are and tell us about yourself.
I'm Amy Keller. I'm an intimacy coach. I'm your intimacy coach. I became the help that my husband and I needed, but we couldn't find.
Amazing. I love
Mm.
that.
I realized that, thank you for the heart. I realized that nobody teaches us about intimacy, what it is, or how to actually build it in a relationship. So everybody's going into relationships trying to figure it out. And we're two completely different people. No matter who you're with in a relationship, you're two completely different people. And anytime we get into a relationship, there are struggles, especially when there's love because it's tender. How do you actually grow love together? And two different people are going to have two different points of view. I have been helping people have intimate relationships for a very, very long time. I've made it very, very simple. I speak man and I am a woman. So I'm able to
Yeah,
merge the gap between men and women. And I found a solution to long-term relationships, intimacy. And that's what I help people with. I
amazing.
currently have, yeah, go
It's
ahead.
it's very needed also, I feel.
Oh, it is. And I make it so simple so that it's not woo woo and so that it's not creepy. It's not just talk. I don't use therapy talk. I actually use sports metaphors because it works.
Yeah. So how did you end up becoming this magical mediator? Actually, that's how it sounds to me. It's like almost like or a translator maybe between men
Well,
and women. Or
I consider myself, I literally have been calling myself a sports coach for a very long time because you might love football, but you don't learn how to play football until you make the team. And the coach teaches you how to put that spin on the ball. When I was married, there were intimacy issues, particularly health issues for my husband, who was dealing with enlarged prostate and erectile dysfunction. I have his blessing to share our story. He wrote the foreword to my book because a lot of men are dealing with performance challenges and stress and what do I do and what makes it great, and it was exhausting, and I went to look for help and I couldn't find it. So I went, I'm going to go solve this. So I became a therapist and I went, after all these degrees, all these certifications, I just kept going from the top to the top. I mean, I learned Gottman from Gottman. He's one of the biggest therapist teachers, and I learned from him. Went everywhere and learned from them. And after all of that, I went, nobody, not one of these has addressed intimacy in a way that would have helped my relationship. And so I continually studied and I ended up studying. I was continually studying and I was also practicing Tantra because people were coming to me and saying, I need help with this. I was known to help people who were dealing with all kinds of challenges or even people who just didn't want to be bored in their relationship. So while on one hand, I'm helping people with sexual health issues and having great, hot relationships, I'm at the other side studying therapy and going, you know what's missing from couples therapy and all of this stuff I'm teaching? All of this stuff I'm doing in my office.
what
So
a
as
happy coincidence.
and I mean, I learned from the best, like yeah, all kinds of very well-known people. I literally just said, I want to learn from the best. So I went and learned from the best. And I realized what was missing was intimacy when you learn to be a part of the team, when you have a
I love
private
that.
practice. Yeah.
Mm.
Because that's what men understand. When they're part of a team, they have team spirit. That's the spiritual piece. They have that sense of pride. Even when the team isn't doing well, they are loyal to the team.
Mm.
When I say to a man, you wouldn't hang another team's poster on your wall, would you?
Mm.
They're like, oh. And I really do. You learn skills just like you would learn on a team, and you practice them in private, just like you would a sports team. You don't practice in front of the world. You show them, you show up at the party in front of the world. The practice is what happens in private.
Mm. Okay, I love that.
Yeah, and as a therapist, they're just talking, and when you're talking and you're not connected, it's dangerous.
Mm.
So, I was doing on one hand, I'm helping people learn to love and make love, learn to touch each other, learn to bypass their fears, their traumas in a really super respectful way. And another hand, I'm doing talk therapy. So when I would be doing my every time you get a degree or a certification, you have to do supervision. And I would do supervision and I would just stop. I'd see these couples and I'd go, okay, stop. I don't want to hear you anymore. Now I want you to just stop talking, stop moving, and we're gonna connect. And I call it a huddle, and I wrote the book,
Mhm.
and you're gonna follow this intimacy game plan. You're gonna go home, you're gonna huddle every day, you're gonna lead it this week. And I would have them do just like literally connection exercises. I've had couples who were married my first times I did a TED Talk, I have a TED Talk, and in my TED Talk, I talk about a time where he held her from behind, and I will never forget that couple, I call them Kevin and Jackie, where he held her from behind in my office. They'd been married for over 20 years, and they stopped talking, and they just were standing there breathing, going, "Mhm." Synchronized breathing, "Mhm,
Mm.
mhm," no words, and she just looked and she said, "Can we do this for the rest of the hour?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah."
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, it's when you stop talking and stop moving that you can start to feel each other. And we're two different people. We talk differently, we move differently. So I developed a method that really heals relationships, that builds intimacy, that makes it playful, that allows you to be able to hear each other in and out of the bedroom. It's like a sports team.
Mhm.
You learn a shared communication. You have same language around intimacy, love, sex, all these vulnerable topics. It's so good. It's so exciting. And I am just starting, so I'm super excited to be talking to you. I'm just starting, like, I just opened a new school space that's women only,
Mhm.
and it's called the Relief Lab. And I'm gonna, the end of January, I'm gonna start my first a round of literally teaching women like how to own their desire, teaching them these are all skills based. Everything I do is science backed, and teaching women how to midlife women, particularly, how to keep their fire lit, how to not abandon their body, how to not feel like they're performing, to you start to feel like, is it over? What now? And it's like, really, it's
Mhm.
just beginning. It really is. Like I say, when you learn from me, it's not a job, it's a pleasure. But I really teach people how to connect with each other, how to get their needs met in a relationship, how to know what your needs are.
Mm.
Hmm.
So, what is your thought process, or why did you feel like there needs to be a separate group for women? Is it because we tend to neglect our own needs more than men? We give to everyone else and we leave ourselves out, or why? Or is it just because you are a woman and that's what you can speak to from firsthand experience?
That's a great question. All of those things about a woman, but even in my couples program, I love my couples. I love my couples program.
Mhm.
Even in my couples program, I don't talk to them together. My men, I have a men's group, a men's room, a locker room, and I have a women's locker room. That's what I call it.
Okay,
And the reason is because we speak different languages.
100%. Yeah,
You
I agree.
cannot talk about in the language that you want in front of your partner, nor would I ever want you to. And because what I actually do is help people, I don't want to hear people complain. I know what the complaint is. Instead, what I do is help you have a strategy. Here's what your problem is. You need to go back. You did something this weekend. Here's why I want you to address it. I don't want him to. I'm teaching people, giving them the tools so that they can address it in their own relationship. And that way, they don't have to come back to me. They have these tools. They've learned, and I have couples who they also learn how to be lovers. So
Mm.
they have a communication for in and out of the bedroom and everything. It never gets boring. It always gets exciting. They plan championship games. Is it his week? Is it her week? So they build this awareness about who's giving and who's receiving. And
Okay.
I say this love, especially, we get into a relationship because we love each other. I love lasagna. Does that mean I should get in a relationship with lasagna? But we get into a relationship because we love each other, but we have two completely different understandings or needs to feel loved. And then every relationship falls into the honeymoon phase, the power struggle, and then they call it true love. I call it the honeymoon phase, the practice phase, because that's when, just like on a football, if you joined a football team, you'd be like, yay, we joined the team. We made it. I'm so excited. Then we have to go to practice. Why do we have to go to practice? I already know how to play. Can't we go to the game? That's what happens in a relationship. So then you have the practice phase, and that's the part where you both feel vulnerable. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, yeah, you knew what you were doing to get into a relationship. Now you're in a relationship. And that's when intimacy actually begins. It's sort of like sportsmanship. That's how I see it. Once you're on a team is when you really build that trust, that unspoken belonging between you. And that's intimacy. So having a different language for love in this program, the way that I work with people, rather, you learn to give love and receive love even when you don't feel like it. And that's where
Mm,
trust is. Mhm.
yeah. Is it similar to the five love languages, for example? That's something that I'm familiar with. I don't know if you know that framework.
Of course, I know that framework. I actually know the man who wrote it, Chapman. Mark Chapman. He's a pastor, and I love the work that he did because he gave people a language around it.
Mm,
But here's the truth about the five love languages. They will change throughout your whole life, and they'll change with every relationship. Mm, thank you. And the five, so when somebody comes to me with their this is my love language, that what that does is it tells me what their partner won't give them.
mm,
Mhm.
interesting.
Mhm. And if I always joke, if you have a man who tells you that his love language is anything but touch, either he's lying or he's terrified of the way he touches. I love you, men. I love you, men. I love you. That's why I've been
Mm,
helping my whole life because I can speak up for men in a way that they can't speak up, especially these days.
mm.
Mhm.
And also, I feel like, humans are dynamic beings. The only constant is change. So even if you are, for example, you were with someone and then there something happened, you separated and you come back together some years later, you are the same people on paper, but it's not the same relationship, right? Like you had different experiences. So even if you come back together, you have evolved or you have changed in some way. So even then, you would have to kind of learn to connect with each other on that level, who those people have become. So it makes total sense.
And that happens in a day. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, I was chatting with you this morning. I was a zombie yesterday, hence the weather. I was a totally different person yesterday than I was feeling today. And that's what I say. Our tastes change, our interests change. So I describe intimacy. Intimacy is like sportsmanship. Sex is like pizza. I've loved pizza. But you start and you're like, "Ooh, frozen pizza's the best. Ooh, those little mini wrap pizzas." And then there's gourmet pizza. And even though you love pizza, you might still be at your favorite pizza joint and go, "I don't know what I want. What do you want?" And we're different. The minute a man hears we're going for pizza, his mouth is salivating, he's ready to go for pizza. The minute she hears we're going for pizza, she's going, "Oh, okay, what am I gonna wear? Who's taking care of the dog, the kids? I got to turn the light off. Do I have anything coming up? What are we doing after this?" She's literally not thinking about the pizza until the pizza is right in front of her. That's when she's going, "I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want." But when she sees the pizzas, then her body tells her what she wants. She literally looks and goes, ooh, oh. And those are the sounds that are huddle sounds. That's your body's language of pleasure because we don't have a language of pleasure. We don't have a, "Ooh, I like that one. I love that one." That's not really how we speak. We have a language with what we don't like. And for a reason. That's society. That's
Mm.
how we work. Yeah. No, no, no. I don't want that. We just, when we critique things.
Well, I mean, that's choice by elimination, in a way. Maybe it's the longer path to finding what we want, but I
Uh,
don't know. I was just thinking. Sorry.
it's called spontaneous desire.
Mm,
That's how women's desire works. We can't think of what we want.
mm,
Uh-huh, that's the thing. Women are trying to think of what we want because we're used to thinking of what works. What should I have? Where men are like, "Pizza?" It's
and they're ready to go. Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I'm actually a man trapped in a woman's body. But anyway, um, yeah,
You're like, "Give me the pizza."
or some sort of like a hybrid in between. But no, I understand totally what you mean, and I think it's also important just to speak about it because, okay, I'm European, so I think that especially Americans have this cute idea about Europeans being like super open about sexuality and like everybody's just going naked to the beaches. Not anymore. Maybe that used to be that way. I'm also Eastern European, so I have very different, experience on that. But yeah, I do know that in a way, sex is everywhere. If you turn on the TV, that's the first thing that they want to sell movies and whatever with. It's like they just slap a pair of boobs on it. But then real intimacy is not just about being naked, right? So how does that work in your realm? Like how do you, break it down or override these ideas of people of what it is or what it should be.
Beautiful question. Thank you. Um, the problem with the word sex is that we think of sex as penetration and an orgasm as a goal. And quite frankly, that's biology. That's procreation.
Mhm.
That's the birds and the bees. And like I say, you're not a bird, you're not a bee, and you're not a dog. Because people will say, "What is your favorite position?" And it's like vulnerable. That should be your favorite
Mm,
position is
yeah,
vulnerable.
I
Your
love
favorite
that.
position should be pleasure and begging for more pleasure.
I love that.
Mhm. So that is what I do is I redefine sex as pleasure because if we think of it as penetration and an orgasm as a goal, we're missing the best part of it, which really is pleasure. And I have clients all over the world, letting you know, including Eastern European, Kazakhstan, Shanghai, Australia, London, all over. Um, and pleasure is the most elusive thing. What gives us pleasure because you can't really ask for it. Mhm. Your body knows what gives you pleasure, and we what when you have a partner, we all want a partner who knows exactly what we want and knows how to give it, exactly how to give it, exactly how to ask for it. And you can do that when you have a practice. So the way that I get around sex is I teach people to feel present and actually feel their bodies. Women will be like, I don't know what I want. Well, what you want is pleasure, and I'm going to teach you how to let your butt ask for it. That's what I say is you want somebody to help you explore every inch of pleasure on your body. That's really what you want. And I'm going to teach them how. But more importantly, I'm going to teach you how to open to pleasure because a lot of times women close up because even things like my men rather will say to me, "Well, doesn't she want to feel wanted?" And I've explained to men that no, actually. Women have if we go out into public feeling wanted, it can sometimes feel quite dangerous.
Mhm.
So the word of being wanted means something different to men and women. And when I share stuff like that, men just go, "Oh my God." And that's why I speak to men and women differently because every word means something different to us. Even love. To a woman, love is something that you feel, something that you talk about, something that you show. To man, love is something you make. That's how they express it. They feel it. It's a physical action. So that's why I help to bridge that gap so that everybody gets their needs met, especially for people who feel like they're stuck in a sexless relationship
Mm,
or for women who feel like their bodies have shut down. That's what my new program is coming up for. Well,
mhm,
not for women who've shut down, but other women like my desire was too high. What do you do with all that energy? So I've been helping people with this for over 25 years.
Fun. I bet you never feel like, oh shit, I have to go to work.
Over 2020, I wrote my book, The Huddle. Before then, working with people in person, it was
Mhm.
wonderful. And it was exactly that. Like I joke sometimes, my eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. I've helped so many people all over the world with all kinds of issues where they couldn't go to anybody else or they don't want to be in another relationship where that same thing happens in every relationship. And I love therapy. I am a therapist, but they know that. They know that it's the power struggle. So they still have people sitting there talking about it. And I'm like, this is not helping people feel loved. It's always intimacy. And you
Mhm.
can't talk about intimacy. So it's been very, very challenging and rewarding to bring this to the world.
Hmm. We have a question here in the chat. What about same-sex couples? How does that work? Do you also help same-sex couples?
I do. I share that my programs are made for hetero couples because they're it's the easiest and that's who comes to me. It's easiest to speak that man female language. Oh, I can see where the chat in the group is.
Oh,
um
no worries.
and in same sex couples, I still find always that same dynamic. There is one partner who's more physical, and there's another partner who's more emotional. So you still have that dynamic of the power struggle of why do we have to talk about it? Why do you want so there's still that space in between. So it absolutely helps when you have these practices in play, you know who's showing what, you know who's leading the huddle, you know who's going to be receiving that week. You know that sometimes you're going to switch because one of you is in a bad mood, but you show up for it. And once you start to feel that kind of connection, I have couples who've been married for 20, 30 years who had no connection and
Mm.
then they start huddling together, they start my practice, because that's what it is, it's a practice. You're not just talking, as a matter of fact, I make people stop talking. I really do, even, like, when I was practicing therapy and I was sharing I was doing supervision, and I was like, "Oh god, I can't listen to these people anymore. Shut up. Just stop." And start huddling with connecting with a huddle. And they just sat there going, "Mhm." And I had to record it because I was in supervision, and my supervisors was like, "What? What's that? What's that?" And I said, "That." That's what happens when connection happens. That's what happens when you make people stop talking about their problems and start feeling the love connection. The problems disappear.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about them later. Connect first, talk about them later. I have couples who say to me, now we can sit around and talk about that problem from 20 years ago. So same
Yeah,
set.
because the walls are broken down, right? Like you are opening yourself up to the other person. It's no longer a war. It's not like you're pinned against each other, but you are
Right.
meeting each other in the same space.
Exactly that. You feel secure. You finally feel secure that you're not going to be kicked off the team,
Mm.
that you're still part of the team, even though you, as I say, dropped the ball at the biggest game of the year. Oh, I'm never talking to you again. I'm never throwing you the ball again. But because you have a practice, this huddle, the starting move, you take turns, you know which day of the week you have a practice, you have a game, and then when you get to, the big leagues with me, which of course I get you to, you help to have the championship games. That's when it gets really fun. That's what I help my couples plan in the big intimacy game plan. It's super fun. And I love it because when I go, I wish I could do that. And I go, okay, I'm putting that on my list so that you can do that.
Mm.
And I'll say, here's how you're going to plan it. Here's how you're going to say it to her. And then I go into my women's room and I go, okay, so your husband's planning this. And I'm telling you because in case he delivers it a little bit wrong, you're going to know ahead of time. And because I'm having him deliver this information to you this early, because now, in case you want to go on a diet, in case you want to get something special to wear, in case you want to help you get your head around how to help him fulfill his fantasy and still get your needs met so that it's fun for you.
Mm.
And what I think that, we're all looking forward to is we need something to look forward to. That's why we have date
Yeah.
but screw date nights. Are you kidding me? Sorry.
No, no, no. I love it. You clearly have passion for this, and it shows. And I feel strongly that especially in the field that you are, without passion, what are we talking about? So, and it's contagious. I feel that through how the way you talk about it and with these reframes, like this whole sports team analogy, it really makes sense. And yeah, it's helpful. It gives you that kind of steps and what you are talking about, that everybody knows what tasks they have and what's the schedule. Specifically don't do well on a rigid schedule. I like to have choices, and I have this kind of rebel brain. If you say rules, it's like, how do I break them?
I
But
totally understand that.
I can understand that for many people, you can have a practice and then you can make it your own eventually. Like, you don't have to do this scheduled for the rest of your life, but it's just to get things going and to develop the skills, as you say. It's probably useful to put it in that framework. So it totally makes sense to me.
And as far as being a total rule breaker, there's always one person in a relationship who's a rule breaker. I am a rule breaker. But here's the thing. The rule breaker, ooh, girl, is the rebel. It's a rebel personality. I could go down the whole psychiatric theme of it. But it's a rebel personality, and that rebel personality is really hard to do teamwork.
Mm,
It's really hard to be in a team, just like it is at work. When if you're in a work situation and you work in teams, you have to get along with other people. We have our strengths, we have our weaknesses. So as soon as we have to work in a team and somebody says, okay, we'll start at 8 o'clock in the morning, you and I are going, well, I'll be in at 9. I'll have my coffee ready. Don't tell me what we're starting. You're going to, so that resistance to being part of a
mhm.
team will can be a hardship in a relationship.
I never thought about it that way.
So even when somebody's telling me what to do, when I say we're having a practice, that's still if I look at my couple and say you're having a practice on Wednesday, that's still up to them. Even if all they do is just get together and share a huddle, which is 20 seconds,
Mm,
if you're refusing to even do that, it will start to break down the team. Because that, if you think about that football, I'm not playing. I'm in a mood. Things are bad, but I still showed up just to, back up the team. That's what it is. It's like getting over that resistance to show up no matter what. That's where the trust builds in. And these things can change. If it's like you have a game challenged, but now grief has shown up, you start to show up for each other. That's the shift. So I'm not forcing people to have sex or intimacy, or I'm forcing people to connect and feel loved.
Does it start then with self-love in your opinion, or where does it begin?
In my group, the Huddle Zone, in my school space, the Huddle Zone, I have a free class for self love called a self huddle.
Mhm,
But this is what I believe. People talk about that you can't love someone until you can love yourself. But I really believe, and I've experienced it myself, that there are parts of us that feel unlovable, and that sometimes we need to see ourselves loved by somebody else so that we can start to feel lovable.
mhm. So
hmm
it's like a relationship as a mirror that you are talking about.
Yeah, I share that even with myself. There were so many parts of me that felt unlovable. But when I would just be like, sorry, that the inner message of fat and ugly, short, fat, round, all of that stuff. But meeting my husband, who I adore, and he would look at me and he'd go, "You're so adorable, and I love you." I'd be like, "I'm adorable, I love you," and he'd like, "I love you when you're in your big sweater and little tights," and I'm like, "Marry me." So sometimes, and even when you have a best friend, even if you're not in a relationship, I really ask even people that aren't in a relationship to have that best friend, that person who loves them, and to literally have a practice of the huddle so that they can take a moment and actually receive and feel loved. Because
Mhm,
it takes practice. That's what I say.
mhm,
We all feel that we all have a piece of us that feels unlovable. And we get into a relationship to prove ourselves right or wrong, and it changes every day. So loving yourself is a practice. Loving yourself, loving somebody else is about acceptance. Accepting myself, that's a huddle. I'm here. I'm okay. I'm willing. That's what a huddle is. I'm willing to be with what is. Being willing to show up with wet hair, willing to accept myself at every age. I can't go back to the pizza I was at 20.
Oh boy, that was a spicy pizza. Yeah.
Wasn't it now? Oh, such a spicy pizza, and I swear to God, I shared that pizza with everyone. But as a mature woman, I have discipline. I have gourmet flavors for my pizza. So
Love
you
that.
don't have or what mood you're in. Like I said yesterday, I was in zombie land. A frozen pizza would have been exactly right for zombie day.
Mm, I love
Makes
that.
sense?
Yeah, totally. And so I imagine that for this practice to work, both parties have to be willing and on board. So that's probably I would assume that that's the baseline, that they both have to be committed to learning, because it's basically learning to understand each other's language, as you said. So
Mhm.
what happens when somebody comes to you like, hey, I have this issue and I really want to make it work, but my partner is like not really, I don't know if they are going to be on board. Is that something that is absolutely necessary? Can you bring them in? Can you turn them around? Can you convince them, drag them on a chain, or what's going on there?
If you'd like, I can give you a chain and show you how to attach it so that you that's the fun part, but that's the advanced skills.
Mhm.
I really believe that that has been a problem in therapy, and that has been a problem even when I have my couples program, and it's never been a problem in my real personal to personal work because I people would come and I'd go, "Okay, come," and then I'd say, "Go home, do this little tiny practice with your partner, and you're gonna go, 'What the heck are you doing?' And then you're gonna say, 'Come see this person with me.'" Because in actuality, everybody wants to learn this. How do you give and receive love that isn't just a conversation, that isn't just sex? It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, for
Performing
sure.
sex is a lot of pressure on guys. I could joke about it forever. If you haven't seen my TED Talk, because it really is hilarious. I have a TED Talk, Better Intimacy for Better Sex, and it is laugh through the whole thing, because if you're gonna tell people the truth, you better make them laugh or they're gonna kill you. So, if somebody wants to come, that's also why I have my separate programs. I just started a woman's. I'm looking forward to starting a men's very soon. Because when you have these skills, you can make the shift in your relationship. I
Mhm.
used to see one partner, they'd go home and just start making the shift in their relationship. I have many husbands who just call me or reach out and go, what do I do in this situation? Anybody, you can ask me anything. I just had a husband text me this morning asking me what lube to use. And I send it to him and he's like, "You're the best. It's her birthday tonight. I forgot something. What do I do? Here's what you do. You're the best." So now people can come to me because as people start to introduce the huddle to their own relationship, they don't both have to come. As soon as you do these things and your partner says, "What are you doing?" You say, "Huddle with me." It's so natural that they do it. So I've had partners set up their whole relationship on their own just by seeing me.
Mm.
And then once you have this rhythm and this connection, I am pleading them to please bring their partners so that they can get into the couples program because that's the whole fun. That's when you want to learn these ways to initiate. I have a whole section on the pleasure zone. Oh, how to explore his pleasure zones, her pleasure zones. Because women are like, I want to feel loved, I want to feel heard. And men are like, I want to explore. That's why I have rooms because those are the same thing,
Mhm.
actually. Like, according to men, exploration happens outside of penetration. And as I say to women, if you want to be heard, talk less. Because men don't hear women the same way that women hear women. Our brains are different.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I agree. And even actually, what I have found through my experience, relationships, is it's very interesting because my husband and I, we speak in English, but it's not our native language. And
Mm.
because we are using a third language as the common language, we understand each other better than my relationships that were in my native language, because I have to put extra effort into expressing what I want to get across. No, maybe not now, because I mean, I've been using English as my first language for like 15 years or so, but it's still not automatic. It's still like there's still a little twist of like, I want to be intentional. Is that something that maybe is similar to what you are teaching? That it's kind of like learning the opposite sex's language, or wording things in a way that lands for them?
Teach them, I teach couples, and I teach everybody a shared language.
Mhm.
So it's not you're not learning your partner's language, they're not learning your
Okay.
language. You're
I love
learning a
that.
shared language. That way, when he says, "I appreciate," you go, "Oh, he's doing that thing."
Mhm.
When he hears you say, "I appreciate," he's like, "Oh, she's doing that thing."
Okay.
Uh-huh. When you say practice, when you say, "I need a huddle," he knows what it is you need. Because if you just go, "I need connection," what does that mean?
Hmm.
I need to talk. Same with can we have sex? That for one person that might be like, "Oh my god, I have to perform right now. Are you ready to be entered this moment? Are you ready to perform this? Oh my god." So you have a whole shared language around these things. But what you were talking about before about how you're speaking different languages and foreign languages, really early on in my life, I learned that one because I had friends who were in different countries and I loved the communication because you had to be, as you said, so intentional to make sure that you were understanding. So what I'm understanding is, so what you mean is, and normally when we speak to people, or especially our partners, you're like, I can't believe you said that. And you're like, well, what I meant was,
Mhm.
but I love that piece that happens when you're speaking different languages, that you have that clarification and that fuzzy period where you don't take it personally.
I mean, there's still room for, misunderstandings and disagreement. We are no exception in that realm. But I did find that through my own experience that my relationships that happened in English were somehow more the communication was just somehow better. Yeah, it's super interesting. And so, can you share a little bit of what you do? Give us some tips and tricks that everybody can apply in their own relationship, or just one thing that we can start with. That can be the first step on this journey.
Gladly. I'd love to. The huddle.
Hmm.
Huddle is the most profound thing. I'll just do one for you so you can see. You put a palm on your chest and you say, "Are you here?" And then we answer, "Mm-hmm." "Are you okay?" "Mm-hmm." And see how hard it is to make that sound? Isn't that interesting? "Are you willing?" Give me an mm-hmm. Mm,
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
exactly it. They're not affirmations. They're literally a state of mind. I'm here. I'm okay. I'm willing. That means I'm prepared. And what happens is if the more you make these little sounds, you're intentionally turning on those sounds. But what I invite people to do is to practice making those sounds in all parts of your life. Oh, because when you make those sounds while someone's talking, they know that you're connected to them. They can feel it, even when you're disagreeing. Huh? And it's okay to disagree, but I still feel like you're with me. You're on the journey with me.
Yeah, you're
So
listening.
the more you have access to making your huddle sounds, those the more confident you are, truly. That is a show of confidence, and
Mm.
it takes practice. Confidence takes practice, just like dancing. If you want to be a confident dancer, you practiced at it. You want to be a confident actor, you practiced at it. So practice making those sounds. And for me, even when I'm feeling anxiety, overwhelmed, I walk around all the time going, "Are you okay?" And I go, "Mhm,
Yeah.
you need to be able to feel yourself, to heal yourself. And to me, that is an act of self love. The
Mm.
greatest because you're being true with yourself. You're not going, "Am I okay? Mhm. Am I okay?"
Yeah, also because the body can't lie, right? This is very interesting because we had a speaker on a few days ago who is basically he has this superpower in like non-verbal communication, and he was sharing that we are basically animals, like our body cannot lie. When we say something that is not true, our bodies will betray us basically. So this little trick that you are sharing, if you really just kind of allow that voice to speak for you, then it will always reveal the state of mind that you're in, depending on if it's an or it's like a so it's very cool.
Language
Also,
and nervous system. Go ahead.
also, because now my brain works like very weirdly, free association. So my genius is in the human design realm and all things astrology and like, cosmic detective. That's what I coined this term and I call myself that. And so this, to me, it immediately kind of suggests, or I would be curious what your human design authority is, because this very strongly points to me to the sacral authority, which is actually that gut feeling of like mm-hmm or mm-mm, and I do have that authority. So this, what you are introducing, it sounds very, very familiar to me, but not everybody has that same design. It doesn't mean that you don't have that voice, but to me, this is my guiding light. That little mm-hmm sound is telling me everything I need to know. And since I discovered it, it's been like this wave of green lights that is just pulling me forward. So it's super interesting. I'm already triggered. So I think you will hear more of me probably. But I just find it really funny that it's in a language that I understand because of human design and hopefully other people too. So I love that analogy.
Can I share one little extra piece about it?
Sure, please do.
I used to use this to connect with my clients and also to have my clients connect with each other. And then I had a disaster in my life. I ended up in the emergency room. And I remember like literally just having my own body and looking at the heart monitor. And all I had was this huddle.
Mhm.
And then I looked at the heart monitor and went, and I realized I could control the heart monitor.
That's
And that the
crazy.
heart monitor does that, and that as soon as it's an that's flatlined, you're gone.
Mm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, the mind is very powerful, and I think that um, well, everything starts with awareness, right? Like if you cannot change something that you're oblivious to. So
That's so good. That's so true. Yeah, and we our body works in pulses and beats and
frequencies,
waves.
yeah,
So now
absolutely.
you're setting the beat, you're setting the wave, you're setting the tone. It's really yeah, it's really powerful, and intimacy is so private, and it's my goal to make it accessible for people to do in private. Not that it's something we should talk about because that would cause people shame.
Not only that, but it's not for everyone to see. I think that's also.
Mm,
I think a lot of times, maybe it's not even used in this way, but I think people confuse, as you said, sex with intimacy, and this is something that I said often that um, sexuality or as the sexual act or being intimate with someone, you cannot lie in that process. Your body will, as I said, this other speaker was also mentioning, your body will always betray you. It will always give off the signals. You cannot pretend. Maybe you can try, but you cannot pretend to feel something that you don't feel, right? And your partner may or may not pick up on that, but you know what's going on, and it's not the point that you please the other person. The point is that you become a unit together and you just become pleasure, right? Like that's in my view, that's supposed to be the goal of being together, that you just want to experience each other together.
right. But how do you do that? People talk about that. I literally give you a step to step on how to experience together, how to please your partner, how to actually receive pleasure. That is really hard to do. And you're right, the body can't lie, but people are trying to fake it. And in case you don't know this, did we talk about women faking orgasms? Men fake orgasms, just in case you didn't know.
Mm.
A lot, especially these days, because there's so much pressure. Like I said, we think of it as penetration and orgasm. So if penetration and the orgasm don't happen, does that mean it was even sex? Or what happens to men like my husband who then have health issues that become barriers to penetration, as many women have as well? So that's why I'm here. That's what I help with. And my couples have my individuals, my couples feel empowered. They have love lives. They know what they're doing. They know how to connect. They know how to set boundaries. They're not afraid to flirt. They're
Mm.
not, even in their relationships because they feel so secure in their relationship. I have a couple like that where he flirted with somebody and it was, no, no, I didn't. And now he was like, oh my God, that guy was flirting with you. And she just shared with me a few days ago what a huge shift that was.
Mm.
So, yeah, it's beautiful when I see people feel secure and loved. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's very
Mm.
powerful. And I think that should be the bar. Like that should be the desire of, that's the kind of relationship that people should be jealous of, and not like, oh, they have the perfect body and this and that and I don't know what. Because yeah, we are also all humans and we are going to age whether we want it or not, and the physical beauty or whatever you want to call it is not going to last. So if that's the only thing that you're basing your attraction or your physical, your relationship on, then it's yeah, probably not going to last. But if you have that kind of soul connection or whatever, we are like, not soul, but maybe connection through senses, I
You
suppose.
can actually feel each other.
Yeah.
So on that note, I'm gonna let you know that one of the things I love to share, and I've got this women's group coming up, is that, men would get back to me all this time later and say, "I want you to know I married a fat girl." And I'd go, "Fluffy, call her delicious, call her someone, she's fat." And I'm like, "Oh God, honey, use a different word." Because they would learn by connection. I'm attracted to a person. How do I feel when I'm around you? What does it feel like to touch somebody
Mhm.
instead of just think about what other people think about you?
Mm,
What does it actually feel to be in your life instead of just what your life looks like?
I love that.
Me too.
Yeah, but it does come back to, for me at least, to like this kind of insecurities or fear of judgment. Like, what will other people say? This kind of worries about other people's judgments, or yeah, I don't know. I see that a lot in people around me, but maybe because they never really had that connection that kind of overrides the need to prove to everybody else that, oh, but this is working, and yes, it's what I want.
Yeah.
Especially women, I find that they tend to compromise a lot more than as they should, right? It's
Absolutely.
good enough for me. He's safe, he doesn't want to cheat. It's okay. Like, yeah, it's not perfect, but it's okay. It's good
But
enough.
it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Fine is one of my favorite words. Fine means you're tolerating it, and in sports, fine is a penalty. So if
Hmm.
you made somebody a
Yeah.
pizza and you gave them the pizza and they said, how is it?" And you said, "Fine." Okay, well, what could make it better? No, no, it's fine. You'd be
Mm.
like, "I worked all day on that pizza. I want it to be the best." That's why I say fine is fine, but it's not enough when it
It's not a
comes to
compliment. Yeah.
when it comes to love. You wanna be the best. And fine is sometimes good, but you need to know you have access to being your most delicious self.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that.
I
I'm just going through the thread because we usually ask people to drop in questions, and we have some comments here. So I'm curious if there's anyone. Men and women are built differently. I love that. There's not really a question, just some comments.
Oh, I said that too. I'll share it since heard you say that. What I say to women is, I hope this makes you laugh. If our if our sex organ was on the outside of our body, we'd be living a little bit differently too.
Yeah,
And I
that's true.
actually give women an exercise, like, go do this in public for 15 minutes, and you'll be, like, blown by how much awareness you have. It is very true, it's funny.
Hmm. Yeah, but it's also, again, to me, it's awareness, like kind of almost putting yourself in the other person's shoes. Obviously, you cannot, because that's just biology. Honestly, I did say this a couple of times out loud. Even I would love to experience sex as a man, because I mean, I never have in this lifetime, so I would love that. I would love to know how that feels.
Awesome, and awesome, I'll teach you how. And I
Okay.
also share this with you, men would love to experience sex as women. I believe that that's why there are so many men who are cross-dressing, even though we as women know that they're not really embodying a woman.
Mhm.
They're just fetishes. We know this as women,
Mhm.
but I say that that's because they've been watching porn for so long that at a
Mhm.
certain point they start to identify with the woman in the video, and that these men realize that the woman doesn't have to be hot. She doesn't even have to be beautiful. She just has to be willing. And so men want to feel taken like that, which is why they're so confused in their head.
Okay, so now that we touched upon that, what is your take on the whole porn situation? Is this something that is damaging? Is it something that can be helpful? Um, is there a problem there? Is there addictions? What's going on?
I'm a realist, so
Hmm.
I don't judge anything as good or bad. I literally just look at what it is. Is there an addiction? Yes, there is an addiction because men go in going, I need a hit of dopamine, but first they get a hit of adrenaline, then they're chasing a hit of dopamine. And then exactly after that dopamine, they get a rise of cortisol, which is shame.
Mm.
And then they're like, I can't have that shame. I need to have that hit of dopamine, but it starts with adrenaline. So it's the hormonal piece that causes the addiction. It's that piece that makes them check out in real life because they're trying to run a video in their head, so they can't even
Mhm.
feel their body. So I teach you how to turn off their head, turn on their body. Do I think that it's bad? Do I think that it's good? I think that it's causing a disconnect. It's rewiring their brains. I think society knows this. That's why they locked us in 2020 and made porn free. They
Mm.
made it free.
So great. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Um,
So I help people sidewind it, get out of it. I have stories in my book and in my program. I talk a lot about a man that I trained so that he could go perform in porn because I have exercises that give people real skills. And that he's like, will this help me? And I'm like, sure, dude. So he comes back a year later, married to one of his co-stars. And now I've got both of them here and they're going, why does our sex life suck? And I'm like, because it's a job.
yeah.
You've never explored pleasure, giving and receiving. He's still trying to perform. You're still trying to pretend that feels good. It doesn't.
Mm.
This is a total, and they have totally, like, they were like, wow,
Mm.
totally changed their life and relationship. They're now making, I should go find them. They're now making like erotic, sensual porn, just the two of them, that kind of thing. But again, everybody's in a different space, but I meet you right where
Sure.
you're at. Even the church going couple who's never had experience, all kinds of people.
Love that. Yeah, that's also something that we say a lot here in Evergreen Foundations, that we want to meet ourselves where we are and also each other. Because I mean, I think that's one of the big issues with porn, that a lot of people start to believe that that's reality and that's their expectation. I mean, yeah, obviously depending on what kind of porn we're talking about, but even if it's just, normal stuff, I think there's a reason why it's a job, right? It's not like they are just filming random couples and then putting it online. So it's
Exactly. Even when you see, when we're like, okay, even when it's normal stuff, it's still performance. They have a shot list, they have a crew, they have a director, they're being told what to
zero
do.
intimacy.
There
Oh
there
my
is
God.
no, and in the old days, I have chapters about this in my book,
Mhm.
Messy. In the old days, it used to be there was a pizza boy, there was a plumber, there was
Yeah, like a life like
yeah. So in the old
situation. Yeah.
days, they used to say, couples watching it together, they'd go play out the things. They had these little
Mhm.
playfuls. Now it's like you're just watching the shootout of every movie.
Mhm.
So you go out into the world, you would think that everybody's holding a gun. So these guys are seeing guys are seeing, guys are seeing porn at age 8, age 10
Oh
before they
man.
even held a girl's hand. So they're completely programmed. And I've spoken to thousands of them, helped thousands and thousands of people. So when they even look at a girl in third grade that they like, sixth grade, and they're going, oh, as soon as they think, I want to talk to her at lunch, I want to hold her hand, they are inundated with all these incredibly violent images.
Mm.
So I hear from young men. There's a chapter in my book, and the whole thing is a conversation with a 16-year-old who's literally afraid he's not going to be able to perform sex when he meets a girl because he's never
That,
even had one.
that is so sad that that's their idea of how it's supposed to be. And well, but basically this is programming, right? And
Exactly.
well, there's no other source of information, because I mean, I don't know what's going on in school with sex education. I went to school during the communism, so there was not a lot of that. So we not, definitely weren't told, and it was also not something that you would talk to your parents about. So I kind of went the research route, I would say, just like
Yeah, and where are you going to go to research? Where are you looking to research? That's the hard part. And there is nothing about it these days. And I know what they're teaching in schools. And even in high schools, when I learned that they were telling high schoolers that it's okay to watch porn and that it's normal to watch porn.
Well, that's not the same. Okay and normal, it's not the same. Huh?
Yes, right. And that I know, high school guys are telling me this was a 13-year-old boy who reached out to me one time through his parents. Through his parents. His parents said, "Will you talk to my son because he won't talk to us?" So I'm like, "Absolutely." And he's sharing with me that he's going to school and he and all of his friends are comparing porn. "Hey, have you seen this one? Hey, have you seen this one? I'm following this girl." Exactly. This is 13 years old.
So damaging. Yeah.
Yeah, and that
Where
is
where are parental controls when you need them? I mean,
there are no parental con
no.
there's no such thing as parental controls, and this is what I say, because even if he's not searching to find it, he's still you can be looking
Mm.
at a Bible verse, and on the right side is an ad showing, TNA, and the photographer saw too much, whatever it is everywhere. And even I joke, but it's a sad truth, but I have a daughter who's 24 and freaking gorgeous, and she and all of her friends, even in high school, they dressed like porn stars dressed back in my age.
Yeah.
So people are walking around looking like porn stars. It's very confusing message
Yeah.
for some of these people. Mhm.
Mm.
So how do we build intimacy? How do you actually have sex unless you're just trying to put it in and pump like in that video?
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I love that it's basically just going back to the basic human needs that is everybody just wants to be loved and appreciated, right? Like that's all we want. We are social beings. We need connection
And
and we want to feel that kind of sense of belonging, right?
we want satisfying relationships, and this is 2026, baby. We are demanding satisfying sex. And the reason that people cheat is because their emotional needs aren't being met or their physical needs aren't being met. And when you have this formula, you are meeting and understanding each other's emotional needs, and you are meeting and understanding each other's physical needs. What I learned is that so many people, even though they would never cheat, they thought they were faithful, they would go out of their relationship, women and men, to experience that one thing that they would never talk to their partner about because they had so much shame. I would never want my partner to know that I want to be spanked. And I'm like, okay, then I'm going to teach it in lesson number 3, spanking 101. Super fun. You will not regret because she has no idea. Trust me, your wife would love to beat the shit out of you. So when I make it playful and fun for people, it's like, oh my God, this is so fun. You
Mm.
can experience this in your relationship. That's not as freaky as you think it is, but asking for it can be scary. Talking about it can be scary. But when you have that championship games, when you have a coach who's helping you plan, that's where it's like, okay, we're going to plan that. Do it at a motel across town in case it goes back. Never bring it into your bedroom. There you go. I hope that helps.
I love that. I also feel like this is something that it reintroduces, or in some cases completely just introduces this childlike play into the relationship. And that is something that, at least for me and my husband, that's almost like sacred. We are basically two Muppets. Like behind closed doors, we are complete idiots. We even laugh at ourselves that we could be like a Netflix show because we think that we are hilarious. And it's not for everyone to see, but we actually enjoy having that kind of goofy time, and we totally have our own language and like all kinds of it's again part of the intimacy that you develop those little inside jokes. And I feel like it's very similar to community building, right? Because what makes a great community, it's like that language that only they understand, or some sort of inside joke. So I really love this analogy with the sports team and like the practice and this kind of play and game day and championship. And it's really it totally reframed a lot of things in my mind. And I'm sure that it gives aha moments to a lot of people because we tend to overcomplicate things because it's important to us and it's a frustration maybe in a lot of relationships. So we think like, oh my God, it must be difficult. It has to be something super complicated and like scary, the solution. But actually, it's stripping down, like stripping away all the nonsense and just having fun, like just playing with each other,
Yeah.
right?
And a lot of people don't know how to be playful because it feels serious to them.
Oh, if you
You know?
put pressure on yourself, of course, it feels serious, right?
Yeah, or if you've ever felt like somebody's put pressure on you, then
Yeah,
it can feel serious.
of
How do you
course.
even be playful? Like, how do you be playful on a dance floor? One of my husbands said that to me. I love to that. One of my husbands, he said, "She can't play." And I was said, "That's because you can play there, but I know how to dance." So can you dance on the dance floor for an hour? But I could. But if you came out for one song, it would be like, "You did it. You did it." It
Mhm.
takes practice to be able to be playful. And
Yeah.
I literally teach people how to be playful in the bedroom, and it's wonderful, step by step.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really feel that because I think that especially in my relationship, I think I maybe had a little bit more of this kind of even when I remember so well when we first met, I had this internal dialogue because I'm a rebel and I look for stuff that is out of the ordinary. I even had this internal dialogue and I wasn't sure about my now husband because I thought that he was too vanilla, like he was not crazy enough. Boy, I was wrong, but that was my first assessment, like I was like, I don't know. It's a gentleman. He's very kind, but maybe he's not crazy enough. And he was just not comfortable enough to show he's crazy because we were, just like dating for a couple of weeks. But that's also intimacy, right? Like you don't just show everyone like your inner crazy. Yeah, I really love that. Sorry, there's not really a question in there, but I'm just like my brain is going.
Yeah, I love you sharing that. That's yeah, that's exactly it. You wanna be it happens in private.
Mm.
That's why I love having these programs online because I'm talking to the women, talking to the men, now go practice in private, and then show up in the locker room so I can give you a strategy, any adjustment, how to bring your partner into it. S Oftentimes, I've made it so that one person can start, because going to talk to your partner and go, "Shoot, can we learn about intimacy?" is like, we're
Maybe
fine."
even that word is already like, the alarm for some people. It's like, oh my God, intimacy. And then immediately they freeze like a deer in a headlight or something. Yeah, it's probably that's why you were saying that you use different words with the different like the men and the women. Yeah, I feel like for women there are some words that men just use like every day. And then for us it's like, oh my God, what does he mean? And vice versa. So that's very clever too. Yeah, I love it. There's also something that wait, let me see if there are any questions. Just gonna read through the thread quickly if somebody put any. I don't know if let me see who's in the call. If Becca, if you want to ask any questions, feel free to take yourself off mute or just type it in the chat as well. Let me see. Sometimes you need to feel loved or lovable before you can love yourself. Yeah, we talked about that as well. Huddle. Yeah, huddle, cuddle. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I think we don't have any questions for now. I could obviously go on and on because I feel like yeah, it's this has been so great throughout the whole summit. There has been a couple of guests that I've never had the pleasure talking to, and after like an hour of talking, I feel like we're friends, or like I want to know more. I'm so excited about everything that you talked about. Can you share a bit more about your Skool community and how did you end up on Skool, or where is your Skool going, or what are your goals with it? Because I think that's also maybe something that a lot of people would love to hear about.
I'm so glad you asked. I joined Skool, finally joined Skool because I got kicked off of Meta.
Oh, really?
All somebody had to do was hit flagged because they didn't like what I
Mm,
said, and I answered a question for them. He didn't like the answer, he hit flagged, and I lost my groups that I'd been running for years.
oh,
I lost access to all my people. So,
mhm,
I'm really glad to be on Skool. I have the Huddle zone for intimacy, intimate connection, and then off of there, I just started the Relief Lab for midlife women, and pretty soon I'll have the Strategy Zone for midlife men. Um, and I'm super glad to be here because I can actually communicate and connect, and I love the community aspect. I'm
mm,
no longer just talking to the women in my locker room. I'm able to talk to lots of people and share my work with the world, which really is my goal. I want
yeah,
people to go into relationships not just with a prenup, but with an actual plan to make it work. so that
Mhm.
we know you have a way to get through it that's not just talking or doctors. So my goal on Skool is I have my huddle zone. I'll have my so that women, whether they're in a relationship or not in a relationship, can learn and understand their desire and actually have skills in their life so that men can, so that people are dating with intention. It's different in this age, not just at this age, but in this age of the world. Things have
Mhm.
changed.
Yeah.
And I want people to be able to love and be loved and trust that they can grow together. The kids aren't going to change it, that this. And I share that in my couples program, I teach men to be the team captain. Men are in charge of intimacy. I know. You're welcome. Somebody had to train them to do it. I did it. But one person has to literally lead it. Hey, it's our, it's your week. I'll see you on Wednesday. Let's start, it's your week. You're leading the huddle. Let's do the huddle. There's always one person who has more stuff on their brain. I know somebody asked about same-sex relationship. There's always one person who's on lists,
Mhm.
and one person who's on action.
I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I also feel like that's natural or it's smart to let everybody lean into their strengths and just share the tasks so that everybody feels useful and that they can shine in what they are naturally good at and don't force them to do the stuff that they're not so good at, right? Like, yeah, it makes total sense. Yeah, I love that. I'm so excited. I'm really going to explore more in your community because there's so much stuff that that really you just put things in a different way that my brain can understand the information better. And it's not like you didn't say anything that I've never heard about, but you just frame it in a way that it's easier for me to understand. So that's I think that's part of your genius. And obviously now I want to see all your charts and everything.
It's so much fun. And I have a live workshop for women coming up on the 22nd, and I'm
Oh,
starting a
amazing.
shortly after that.
Oh,
So
looky who's here. Brandon made it.
Hey,
Yeah, you missed some stuff.
I bet you. I can't wait to watch this one back. Hi, Amy. How are you?
I'm great, Brandon. Great to see you. Do you have any question about intimacy before you go?
Oh wow, putting her on the spot. I don't think so.
Okay, if I had to answer a question, here's how I roll. If I had to answer a question that Brandon would ask without him even knowing that he had to ask it,
Like this.
I love you. I never met you, but I like you so much, and I love your voice. I just have to say, Brandon, I love your voice. So this is what I would share for answering your question without you even knowing it. Planet. What a woman wants to know is that a man can make a plan, follow, show up, and into it. So it's Sunday. And if you were to go right now and you were to go to your partner and you were to say, it's Sunday, we got a busy week ahead. On Wednesday night, we're going to take a break. We're going to meet on the sofa for 10 minutes. And if you'd like, it's up to you. I'll massage your feet, your shoulders, feet. Go for the feet. Okay. So that you're going into your week looking forward to a moment of emotional and physical connection with your partner and make it midweek. That's what that hump day is for. Then when you're there on Wednesday, I want you to do this. God, this was really nice. And timer it so that she says just 10 minutes so that she knows how long she's sitting there receiving or during a show that you're watching. And then when you're there in that moment on Wednesday, I want you to go, this is really nice. On a Friday, let's do this in the bedroom so that you're going to do that exact same thing again in the bedroom because we know she likes her feet rubbed. If it goes more than that, then it goes more than that. Location, location, location. Now you're at least on your field of pleasure. So that's how you do it. That's how you keep moving it along. Oh, this was nice because then on Saturday night, you're going to, of course, make it longer, and do whatever it is that comes naturally or that fits inside the realm of where you're at right now. Got it?
Got it. And I missed a lot, didn't I, Dinka?
Well, yeah, I suppose, yes. I mean,
That's what happens when you don't show up on time.
no,
My
this
son had his first basketball tournament, and it's kind
yeah.
of cool. I got to come back in time. I was like, you know what? This is still on. And man, I can't wait to watch this back for 30 seconds with you. I'm like, I'm sure this was an awesome call.
It was,
Yeah.
but even more important is being there for your son's basketball game. So the good dadding is the best turn on there is. Mm.
It does work. It does do its trick. I know that with my partner. I will tell you that.
Mhm. And with your son.
Yes. Yes, it does. Yeah, yeah. We had an awesome time. We drove up and it was fun. And he played it was his first time. He did great. So it was cool.
And it was his first time. Well, that's so cute.
Yeah. It was his first games ever. It really will.
I love it
That
how you can make anything sound dirty, Amy. It's just probably your superpower. It's like, "Oh, this is
is
so
whenever
cute."
anything comes out of my mouth, it sounds funny. You have to watch my TED Talk. If you haven't watched my
We
TED Talk,
will.
Amy Keller, Color. It is very funny.
And there's I think that's necessary, like we have to kind of demystify this whole situation and stop being so bloody scared of it and just have fun and laugh once in a while, It's yeah, what's wrong with that? I'm not saying that you have to turn it into comedy, but can't we just, have a good time and
Because we feel like it's very serious. And it can be fun and it can be funny. And I remember saying to somebody one time, going, "You guys are just too serious. You need to," he said, it was the man I was talking to. I said, "You need to have a laughing orgasm." And he went, "A what?" And I said, "Make it happen. Figure it out, make it happen." He's like, "What are you even talking about?" I'm going, "We were just finishing up a call." I'm going, "Can't talk, figure it out, make it happen. We'll talk next time." He came back and he was, we were laughing our heads off. It was such a relief. We couldn't stop laughing the whole day. And I'm going, and it doesn't even matter how you got there. It is,
Mm,
yeah, it's about being able to show up in every mood, being able to express yourself, knowing how to be silly takes practice. That's what I help people do, how to be funny. That's why, my wooden palette has a smiley face from IKEA. Yeah, how to have fun together.
yeah,
Playful, roommates to playmates.
amazing.
Mhm.
We love it. Brandon, you got anything to, that you want to ask?
Wow. I mean, since I kind of miss a little bit or a little bit, most of it, I don't really know what we covered or any of that. So I hate to ask like the same questions. Are
I
you ever
can
going to do
assure
another
you,
TED?
you will
Are you
not.
going to do another TED talk? Do you ever want to do another TED talk?
I would love to do another TED Talk. The TED Talk that I would like to do next, I've already wrote it. I actually applied for it because I got to apply for it for another TED Talk. Is that we go into a plan? We go into everything with a plan. We go into business with a business plan. We go into dinner with a recipe. We go into anything with a plan, but we're going into the most important relationship of our life, a marriage, with no plan for it to succeed, but only a plan in case it fails, a prenup, a prenup, a prenup. Where's our plan to actually make it succeed?
Yeah,
It's ridiculous. How are you going to get that done? Even if you had a short project of how you're going to make this call happen. Okay, first we have to schedule it. Then we have to get on a call. I had to confirm with Amy because she forgot. And that's exactly it. It's the human impact of it. But where's our plan to actually make it succeed? So I actually have a plan that actually makes intimacy last, that makes relationships and partners grow together without just talking about it, without having to go to therapy, without having to air your dirty laundry, without having to rehash your past. I have couples that I've worked with 20 years ago. When they reach out to me, they're going, "Yeah, we're still following it. Yeah, we're better than we've ever been. You were the best thing we ever did."
I love that.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what it should be. Instead of, well, so many people are going, "Well, we got to have, I wouldn't be in a relationship with somebody who didn't go to couples therapy." Why? So you could talk yourselves out of being in a relationship? Uh-huh. Since when has talking ever helped your sex life be better? And that intimacy is why we actually get in a relationship.
Mm.
Mhm.
I love
Mm.
it because you're right.
Mhm.
Nobody plans. Nobody plans to stay together, to make it work, to go through the hard stuff. Yeah, that resonates with me. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Have we covered where to find Amy, school communities?
Thank you. You can find me in the Huddle Zone on Skool, and my new group is called the Relief Lab for Women in Midlife. And soon I'll have the Strategy Zone for men in midlife. And that way, whether you're single or whether you're in a relationship, and then someday I'm going to open that door because I have all these women who I've been training for so long who are saying, "I want to get in a relationship so I can do all of these moves." With my partner, because this is the fun stuff. This is where my couples are going, "Oh my god, I've always wanted to try that."
Mm.
Mhm.
Amy, you
So
came in the
cool.
Better Brain Project a lot like this call, where you were just kind of like, "Here I am, and this what," and I was like, "I love this lady. We got to get her on our thing." And you haven't disappointed since I've been here. You have an
No,
amazing,
this has been really
yeah.
fun.
Oh, awesome.
Um,
Thank you, Brandon. I
We
appreciate
want to
the
be respectful of
opportunity.
your time, Amy, and this has been a ton of fun. But it's, I think, also kind of the time for us to. It went by like nothing. I mean, I feel like I could talk to you for hours. But what we do in since we started the summit, I always draw a card from my little oracle deck for all the speakers that come up on the call, and I drew this card for you, which says, I think it's super fitting, Shaolin Master,
Oh
and
my.
it says, be graceful in movement and action. And I find this super
Oh, wow.
fitting. So far, they were all like really spot on. So you're the Shaolin master of intimacy in my book. And I think that it's super important what you're doing because you are taking the scary part out of it and making it fun and just, applicable and, you know, available to people. And that's so important. So thank you for everything that you do. I also see that this is like a heart led mission to you. It's like you're clearly super passionate about it. And you just make it so joyful. I cannot wait to dive into more of your materials in your community. So I'll be all over your community. That's 100% sure.
Thank you, Dinka.
Yeah,
Love
no, thank you.
you. Loved. I love that you didn't look into me first, so we got to know each other raw
Yeah,
dogging.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, you have to rewatch it. No, we giggled a lot, but I really enjoyed that. Yeah, and that's what I say. That sometimes that's where the magic happens, in the unexpected, unknown moments, and we couldn't have planned it this way.
It was great. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for having me. Thank you so much for letting me share. I am truly passionate and I'll look forward to more of it because I love talking to you and my conversation. If Brandon was here, if I talk to Brandon is different because like I say, my language with women is one, my language with men is so different. It's super.
yeah.
I
You
love what
you gave us a little taster of that because the moment Brandon came in, you kind of put on your different hat, the different coach hat, and it was fun to experience. So thank you
yeah.
for that.
Thank you guys.
So, Amy, I end every call with the same question for all of our guests. And I ask them a simple question of what does evolution mean to you?
Evolution means growth. And you want the best of yourself to continually grow. Your sensory system evolves. We think without practice, our senses go down. That's why you start to lose your sense of smell. You start to lose your sense of sight. You start to lose your, but it doesn't have to. Evolution means that you are growing, means you're growing up and up and up so that your senses get even more poignant and to the point so that your brain gets sharper and sharper, so that you're more and more connected to your body, so that you can evolve from wanting frozen pizza to knowing that you have tasted gourmet and you have not missed out on anything in this beautiful sensory led body. How's that for an answer?
Hell
We'll
yeah.
we'll
Um,
take it. We'll take
we'll
it.
take it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Amy, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being a part of this summit. I look forward to more connections, you being a part of Evergreen Foundations, and I'm sure you're going to pick up some members after this call into your community from us. Everybody, Evolution 2026, it keeps rolling. Tonight, I'm going live with Ankara, who is going at 4 p.m. my time. Central, who is going to do a special breath work session all for our summit. So join us if you're live today, and we'll see you all week. I'll put out a schedule, what's coming up. Have a great night, everybody. Thank
Thank
you, Amy.
Bye, Amy.
you. That was a
Thank you
great
so much.
question.
Yeah, super fun. Bye
Bye.
bye. Ciao.